My name is Nicole Karowski, and I'll be talking to you about informal assessments. Informal assessments can be used in a classroom or any other teaching situation. They can be casually structured or highly structured. Informal assessments are not standardized, and they help us as teachers learn more about our students' learning needs. Informal assessments give us an idea of what our students know and what our students may need to focus more on. The first example of an informal assessment is an observation. Observations can be used in the classroom in several different ways. Observations can help us identify student progress, identify student learning needs, identify student behaviors, and they can help us gather information about how to improve a lesson. So by simply observing the students in the classroom, we can gather this information. Assistive technology or educational technologies that can be used to help us do this are a computer, iPad, and Excel spreadsheet. Some of the advantages are input and we could input and track student learning progress through the use of the computer, the iPad, input and track student needs, and we could input and track student behaviors. This information can be kept in an Excel spreadsheet, and we could use this information to make lesson improvements and change our lessons to better meet our students' needs. Some disadvantages may be that it's time consuming to have to track all of this on the computer every day, put the input in for each student. And of course that we cannot always rely on technology, so there is a chance that something may not work or that something may get lost. The second type of informal assessment is a checklist. There are several different ways that we can use checklists in the classroom. For example, we could use a checklist to simply record student behaviors. We can identify student progress. We could identify student learning needs, and students can also use checklists as a self-evaluation of themselves. Assistive technologies or educational technologies that we can use to do this are computers, iPads, and again, Excel spreadsheets. Again, we could take this information and input it and track our student learning progress. We could input and track student needs and input and track student behaviors from this. So we could keep a running list of this information about each student. And this will give us an idea of how the student is learning, what they may need help with, and even track their behaviors that are occurring. Again, disadvantages of using checklists of the assistive technology is that it can be time consuming to track all of this, and again, we cannot always rely on technology. The third example are exit slips. Exit slips can be used in the classroom at the end of a lesson to gather student progress, and we could gather student needs from this. So an exit slip or an exit ticket is just a little piece of paper that we may ask the student a question or have them identify something that they learned or something that they may need help with still. For this, we could use a computer, iPad, or again, an Excel spreadsheet. We could input and track student learning progress and input and track student needs. This again, these tickets will give us an idea of what our students have learned so far, what achievements they've made, and this we could focus on where we may need to spend more time, what our students still need. Disadvantages. Again, similar to the other informal assessments and the technology used with them, it can be time consuming to track all of this, to use the computer, the iPad, the spreadsheet to do all of this. And again, as mentioned, we cannot always rely on technology. The last example of the informal assessment is a portfolio. So we could use student portfolios to identify learning progress over time. They provide documentation of student achievement, and we can evaluate coursework quality that the students have completed. We could determine whether students met learning standards and requirements, and they help us reflect on their goals and progress. For the portfolios, we could use a computer, scanner, or digital portfolio software such as KidBlog, EduBlogs, Seesaw, for some examples. Advantages of the assistive or educational technologies is again that we could input and track student learning progress, and we could input and track student needs. So we have a collection of data and we could show what the students have learned and actually show the work that they've completed. Disadvantages of using these technologies is that, again, it can be time consuming to upload the information, the student work. The cost of it, if we have to purchase the software, the cost of it could be a disadvantage. If the students are in charge of using the technology to upload their work and add their work, they can be distracted by other programs on the computer. And of course, again, we cannot always rely on technology. In summary, there are many different types of informal assessments. Informal assessments are typically not graded. Informal assessments give us a way to collect data about our students, our student learning achievements, and their student learning needs. From these assessments, we can adjust our instruction accordingly to meet our students' needs. Thank you.